Looks like I have an unstable connection. What's going on? Fix me up, extender. What's up, Ron? Give me just 1 second. It says I have an unstable connection, so I just plugged in the extender. My Wi-Fi's been doing shit all day. Yeah, thanks for asking questions. You have a lot of really good questions that I don't get to in live streams because they're big. And so I know that a lot of times I've seen your questions and been like, fuck, that's a good question. I need a whole video for it, and then I completely lose it after the stream's over. So I'm glad I could get some answered the other night. Well, the Wi-Fi connection is still unstable, but I'm gonna go ahead because I don't want to be up all fucking night again like I was the other night. Let's see. What was I gonna start with? This tomorrow at 10 p.m. Central Time, I believe. Anyways, tomorrow night, I am going on the I don't even know how to say this, Genxennial channel. We're doing a live stream over there. He's an ISTP and I'm an ESTP, so we'll be doing STP stuff. There's a link in the description box. I'll drop a link here in the comments. I hope that's the link to the right thing. Yeah, it is. And I had to play. I was gonna record this. I started recording this video because it's late and I don't want to be on all night. But there's a good, when I'm on these things, I always spend more time in the stream than I anticipate. But we got the stream coming out tomorrow, and I knew that if I recorded this video, by the time I edit it and shit, it wouldn't get up in time for people to know about the upcoming stream. But he did such a good goddamn job with that thumbnail that I had to get the plug up. Swan, hello. Brandon, hello. I don't know. I just felt like stealing Dave's superpowers identity today. So you can call me Dave. Shan's not here right now. Anything silly I do on the stream, you can start spreading rumors that Dave Superpower's been chain smoking on his shows. All right. So in this stream, what I want to do, what I was doing is I was scrolling through the news on Facebook. Unfortunately, Facebook has it must have the best algorithm for figuring people out, because if I go to I check a bunch of different news places, but if I go to Facebook's news page, it has me pegged for the things that I'm interested in reading about, which I think is interesting. But I was kind of scrolling through the news, and I just want to call some of these news articles out on how they distort the truth, and distort perception, not even through lying, but just the way that they handle it. So you'll see what I'm talking about a little more as we go along. So let me share a screen here. Too many tabs. No, it does not. Does it, hold on, let me make sure I'm reading that question right. Does NI and Socio? No. NI and socionics sounds more like psychic abilities than anything. Like premonition or yeah, psychic abilities basically is what it sounds like. All right, so this is the article that kinda I brought more than just this one, but this is what made me kinda go, "Blah, I need to make a video about this." So you've already with just this headline alone, you've got a, you've got people thinking that there was a threat on in downtown Denver. Um, so the news article is intentionally lacing in doubt about whether or not the FBI is giving you the whole truth or if they know the whole truth. Third paragraph, the FBI statement goes against reports from local police who cited potential of a mass shooting incident. What police? What local police? I would like to know that they do not say. Um, as is the case with major special events, the FBI works closely with our law enforcement partners in preparation for and support of public safety during these events. We continue to encourage the public to report any suspicious activity to law enforcement. The FBI Denver said the investigation is active and ongoing. This is an update from an earlier article, but and we'll go there. There's no reason. Well, we'll just keep going. Police have confiscated more than a dozen weapons and 1,000 rounds of ammo. Okay, so if anybody is a gun owner, has been around guns, more than a dozen weapons is not a lot. That does not constitute massive weaponry. A dozen guns. I mean, if anyone's got an uncle that hunts or a grandpa who collected guns, anybody, any gun owner, you got two types of gun owners. You got gun enthusiasts and the people that have one gun. But anybody who owns more than 3 guns owns a hell of a lot more. When I when I got raided by the police and they confiscated my guns, they took out 30. I had 30 guns. Every one of them legally owned, and it was a personal collection. Over a dozen guns between 4 people is not a massive catch. 1,000 rounds of ammo is like a box, depending on the size of the box you get. But I mean, just this isn't that much, and people who aren't familiar with guns or whatever, haven't been around them a lot, that might sound like a lot. I don't know that anybody thinks 12 weapons and 1,000 bullets is a massive cache. But um, let's see. This was from a hotel near Coors Field in Denver, Colorado, the site of Tuesday's All-Star game, and thanks to a tip from a hotel maid. So, downtown Colorado. This was on Saturday, so or 3 days before the game. The confiscations may have prevented potential mass shooting on the order of Las Vegas massacre at a country music festival in 17. A total of 61 people died in the incident when a gunman opened fire from a nearby hotel room. Man, see, this is absolute bullshit. The connection that they're making. There's no reason at all, to think that this was the case. And further down, we'll see why there's reason to think it is not the case. But whoa, wrong thing. But they're invoking the images of these things for whatever reason. They want mass shooting anxiety in people's minds. Let's see. Denver, a housekeeper called hotel police after finding the weapons cache. The hotel is 2 blocks from the stadium. So we already know that this Vegas scenario is not what could have happened, because in that, he was shooting straight down in the parking lot. You can't shoot. Yeah, you just can't shoot out a window 2 blocks away and have not like that. You could, but you wouldn't have. Yeah. It has a balcony that overlooking the downtown area, probably intentionally vague about which direction of the downtown area it overlooks. The weapons include 16 long guns, body armor, and ammo. 3 men and a woman were arrested and charged with weapons possessions. 3 of them had priors, and 3 were also charged with intent to distribute drugs. This was a drug deal, probably. These people were in town to buy or sell some guns and drugs. Maybe they were just people who had guns and drugs and got a hotel. Who knows why? But all these things, all these circumstances suggest that this is not at all a Mandalay Bay type situation. This is more ominous when suspect has previously posted a cryptic message on Facebook saying he would go out in a big way. Has no context, and I'm sure intentionally. I'm sure that was taken out of context somewhere else. You know, if you investigated me, if I was in these people's shoes and somebody went like looking at my Facebook for disturbing comments they could take out of context, I'm sure there's a ton. Well, probably not now, because I've gone back and deleted a lot of things. Because fuck the AI and observation. But investigation arrests were the result of a tip from the public, serving as an excellent example of the critical role community plays in public safety, police said in a statement Thursday. I would like to counter that with the opinion that tip lines to the police are absolute bullshit. If you call them, you better be damn sure that you're calling for the right reason, not just being a little snitch. or a little scaredy cunt. In this case, I don't think that. No, I don't agree with this woman. Was a coward and a snitch. That's what it is. I don't care if they have drugs. I had drugs. I think that drugs should be legal. I don't care if they had guns. I think guns should be legal. And I don't care if they had priors. I don't believe in most of that bullshit either. The prohibition. Oops. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts? I'm going to hit the next article. So should I do weather? You want to hear about record highs fall in Southwest as intense heat continues? Trouble in Alaska, massive oil pipeline is threatened by thawing. BlackRock's Fink urges the World Bank and IMF to overhaul for a green era. Or I don't know if we can get to the ECB and inflation goals because it looks like this article wants me to subscribe, so we'll not do that one. Record high. Good choice. That's the one I had lined up for next anyways. I think that yep. I think that this topic, like weather in general, is like it's the most important thing in the world right now for everybody. Everybody needs to be watching this more than they are and really pay attention to what's going on because there's shit happening. I'll get to all that. Let's read the article before I get down in my rabbit hole. But the weather thing is a big deal. Record highs fall in. Oh, I didn't show the screen here. How's that? Record highs fall in the Southwest as intense heat continues. An abundance of excessive heat warnings have spilled across the Southwest as residents continue to bake under record heat. Most notably, the heat wave has stamped new record highs in the weather history books in Las Vegas and Death Valley. On Friday, the temperature in Death Valley soared to 100 to 130 degrees. Wow, breaking the previous daily record of 129 set back in 1913. The mark fell just 4 degrees shy of the highest temperature ever measured on Earth, which was in Death Valley on... Wait, am I reading this right? Breaking the previous record set in 1913, fell just shy of the highest temperature ever set in 1913. I don't understand how it broke the previous record, but fell shy of the highest record ever that was set in the same place. That doesn't make any sense to me. That makes sense to anyone? Anyways, the mercury rose to 129, 128 on Saturday and Sunday, respectively. A normal high at this time is 116. The temperature in Death Valley is averaging over 8 degrees above normal. On Saturday, Vegas soared to a high of 117 and tied the city's all-time record high. The first time the city ever climbed to 117 was back in 1942. So, in the nearly 80 years since this first recording, the mercury has only topped out at 117 4 times. I'm streaming, but it's just my stream. It's not. Mostly. Well, no, there's like 4 people here. I haven't read this article, so I don't know if there's information in it. I want to hear them talk about crops, how it's affecting agriculture and water. Las Vegas set a new daily record. Flights at Las Vegas airport were delayed Friday due to heat. Didn't know that that was a thing they did. 364 flights in the airport were delayed. New NV Energy asked that customers conserve energy each evening over the weekend due to supply shortages caused by the weather conditions and shitty green technology. My addition. The company asked that customers turn off the lights, avoid using large appliances and electronics, unplug electronics when they're not in use, and turn off pool pumps. On Saturday, St. George, Utah also experienced some impressive heat. It reached 117, tying for the hottest day on record in the entire state. Lots of record breaking and tying. More records. AccuWeather senior meteorologist Tyler Royes said the intense heat is a result of another expansive heat dome that has set up over the region. The setup is similar to what led to the extreme heat across the Pacific Northwest and Western Canada at the end of June, when the region battled a round of its own record-breaking temperatures and devastating wildfires. This time, the core of the high pressure and heat has been anchored further to the south and has allowed excessive heat to build up across the region. So this, I wonder if to try to explain what causes heat domes, because what really causes heat domes is fucking DARPA weather manipulations and weather warfare, and that's why this stuff is so important right now. It's astonishing the weather warfare that's going on globally, particularly in places that grow crops. And this sort of weather modifications been around since at least, I mean, we used it in Vietnam. The British used, I think 1956 is the first time that a government publicly came out and acknowledged weather control. It's not even hidden or denied. It's an open thing that there is weather manipulation technology, and that the U.S., Great Britain, and Russia had the capacity, I mean, decades ago. So now I'm sure it's all over the place. But it's crazy how all this shit is happening, and everybody's talking about climate change from cow farts, and nobody knows about the weather modification programs that have been around for decades in the public. Let's see. What part of Cali are you in, Ron? Hello, Winston's mom. Elsa, it's my opinion that Elsa, so the way that the weather modifications, the tech works is, you rob from Peter to pay Paul. Like if you have a lot of flooding and monsoons and shit, and if you create a lot of rain here, you're pulling shit from over there. And for whatever reason, going across oceans is the easiest way for them to build rain. So if you look at global weather maps, and you can see the same trend kind of play out. That's I mean, that's why you got so many hurricanes hitting, Haiti and shit down there. Apparently, it's easy as fuck to build these huge rainstorms over the Atlantic Ocean moving to the west. So if you look at weather over the past few years, or who knows, maybe longer than that, but at least the last couple of years, you'll see a ton of drought in Africa and shitloads of flooding all over the other side of the country, or the other side of the ocean. And I haven't been paying attention to the weather patterns all that long, but last year, China had the biggest flooding, the highest rainfall in recorded history, and it affected primarily their agricultural land. All their crops got wiped out, so they're buying ours. Um, I'd be interested to know where they pulled that from, that weather, but I do know that right now, maybe not right now, this instant, but this year, Europe is having big heat waves. So that would make sense that Europe's having big heat waves and New York is having a lot of rain and flooding and stuff. They're pulling over here, they're pushing it over there. Just sort of like the rain. Like I'm in Kansas City. I'm in the Midwest. We've been having a lot of rain and pretty cool weather. It gets humid as shit, but it hasn't been hot. It's not been hot, and it has been wet. Um, and if you just watch the rain clouds, like everything is just getting pushed over to the east of the Rockies. So just something to know about and be aware of, and keep in your head when you hear everybody complaining about, um, you know, how global warming caused food shortages and global warming caused, how global warming is the cause of all our problems. And what we need to solve global warming is for everybody to voluntarily go into slavery to a technocratic system, because it's clearly, I mean, it's a very disingenuous, incomplete discussion of weather affecting the world, and that it just doesn't speak of how it's being intentionally manipulated. Oh shit, what did I click? But yeah, when you see things like heat domes, these intense heat domes, I don't know how it works. I haven't looked that far into it yet, but that looks to me, a heat dome to me doesn't really look like a natural phenomenon. I could be wrong. Maybe heat domes have happened all the time and I just haven't noticed, but I don't think so. Um, Same as that big ass the freeze that came down and fucked up Texas in the winter. That was super unnatural too. Not supernatural. It was super unnatural. So surely all these things are more likely due to intentional manipulation through DARPA's HARP programs and things like that. And if anyone's interested, I'll probably, and if I remember, I'll probably get some links and shit to information about weather warfare and put them in the comments section. I also have stuff in my Telegram. I made a video a few days ago about, that lists the link to my Telegram channel where I dump a lot of stuff. There's weather manipulation information in there if anybody wants to dig around for it, or if I forget to drop links here, which is possible. It happens. The excessive heat warnings have been in effect since the middle of last week. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I've already... No, I haven't. Experts urge residents to limit their time outside, stay hydrated, and wear light-colored clothing. Heat is the most deadly weather impact annually. Extreme heat has contributed to an average of 138 fatalities every year over the past 30 years. Don't leave your kids and your pets unattended in vehicles. That should be obvious. Unfortunately, it's not for everybody. And if anybody is living out in this part of the world, you should get a generator. Well, anybody anywhere should have a generator if you can afford them. They're kind of pricey. I just got mine. I'm pretty pleased with it. Under $500 shipped from Sam's Club. $5,300 or 5,300 watts. Dual fuel. It burns gas or propane. I think I'm done with this article. Wildfire dangers. Reduce power consumption. Blah, blah. So I'm done with that one. And this is relevant to manipulation and distortions in the because it's controlling the narrative. The narrative should be who's fucking with the weather over croplands across the world and causing catastrophes and famine conditions that are going to help usher in the Great Reset. But it's not. The discussion is we have climate change, so we need the Great Reset so we don't destroy the planet. It's absolute hogwash. And I don't know. Okay, gonna bust ass through these. Last one or two. I might not do the BlackRock one. I'm depending on how long this oil pipeline one takes. So back to weather problems weather is causing that will be blamed on you driving your car too much and be an excuse for them to push people deeper into poverty. Trouble in Alaska, massive oil pipeline is threatened by thawing permafrost. The slope of permafrost where an 810-foot section of the pipeline is secured has started to shift as it thaws, causing braces holding up the pipeline to twist and bend. So they're setting the narrative for a lot of things. They're going to have an excuse for rising oil prices. That's climate change. They're going to have an excuse for inflation so that they can point at climate change as the real reason that prices on everything are going up and not mismanagement, intentional or unintentional, of the financial system. And the solution they're going to offer is centralization of power, basically. The transatlantic pipeline, or the Trans-Alaska pipeline, one of the world's largest oil pipelines, could be in danger. Thawing permafrost threatens to undermine the supports holding up an elevated section of the pipeline, jeopardizing its structural integrity and raising the potential of an oil spill in a delicate and remote landscape. The slope of permafrost, where an 810-foot section of the pipeline is secured, has started to shift as it thaws, causing several of the braces holding up the pipeline to twist and bend. This appears to be the first instance that pipeline supports have been damaged by slope creep caused by thawing permafrost. Records and interviews with officials involved with managing the pipeline show. The Alaska Department of Natural Resources has approved the use of about 100 thermosiphones, about 100 tubes that suck heat out of permafrost to keep the frozen slope in place and prevent further damage to the pipeline support structure. The proposed project is integral to the protection of the pipeline, according to the department's analysis. While use of these tubes is common among pipelines along the expanse, available records show that they have never been previously used as a defense safeguard once the slope has begun to slide. This is a wake-up call, said Carl Weimer, a special project advisor for Pipeline Safety Trust, a nonprofit watchdog organization based in Bellingham, Washington. The implication of this speak to the pipeline's integrity and the effect climate change, there it is having on pipeline safety in general. So let's follow me on follow me down this rabbit hole. I clicked through to see who the Pipeline Safety Trust is, because a lot of times news articles with an agenda, with a big agenda, cite think tanks or experts or, whatever, that are really bullshit. Credible, independent, in the public interest. About the trust. The Pipeline Safety Trust is a nonprofit public charity promoting pipeline safety through education and advocacy by increasing access to information, by building partnerships with residents, advocates, government, industry that results in safer communities and healthier environment. So they are a propaganda mill. Oh shit, I didn't add that again. I keep forgetting to add to click add to stream once I share it. Leadership, let's see. The executive director. Bill started in late March. He was previously the director of finance and development for the Duches River Conservancy, which is a collaborative multi-stakeholder nonprofit organization founded by the Environmental Defense Fund, the Confederated Tribes of the Warm Springs Reservation, and local irrigation districts to restore stream flow and improve water quality in the river basin. Before that, he worked for the Central Oregon Intergovernmental Council, whatever that is. He was also a portfolio manager with Rivera Wealth Management. USB Financial Services, and Morgan Stanley. So this guy's a banker who got into the advocacy industry. So he's a professional lobbyist, professional special interest guy. Let's see what Carl Weimer. So I guess he just stepped down as the director. He for the past 14 years he was the director. Worked in U.S. Department of Transportation's Technical Hazardous Liquid Pipeline Safety Standards Committee, the Canadian Energy Pipeline Association's External Advisory Committee or External Advisory Panel, and the governor-appointed Washington Citizen Committee on Pipeline Safety. He's testified to the U.S. House and Senate multiple times. Gotten some awards and shit. Organized 15 national pipeline safety conferences, pushed for stronger pipeline safety regulations on the national and state level, and regularly serves as an independent source of pipeline safety information. He has spearheaded various county efforts to improve water quality, incarceration prevention, transparency in government, and pipeline safety. Yeah, so this institution is a special interest group. A lot of these environmental groups are, what happens is, since they're nonprofits, what happens is you have big business start nonprofits, donate to nonprofits, and the nonprofits push for whatever policies will be beneficial to that industry. So, for instance, if you've got the Pipeline Safety Trust trying to increase regulation across the board, which it looks like is what they do, and also involved in other sort of government restriction imposing lobbies, who benefits from oil being harder or more expensive to get? Seems like they focus in the US and Canada. So straight from the hip, my guess would be that foreign oil producers, the OPEC companies, or Russia, these foreign oil producers have a lot of interest in us not producing our own oil because, well, for obvious reasons. That's what a lot of environmental groups, they're just fucking shills. Strategic plan describes the pipeline, but nobody ever tells you they're shills. They're quoted in news articles as formal, as reputable sounding sources. Mission statement. Oops, where'd I go? Wow. Oh yeah, we're not gonna read this whole thing. Meanwhile, pipelines that are under attack are the cheapest, most efficient, least environmentally impactful way to move oil through the country by a long shot. You've got Biden killing the Keystone Pipeline, which means that we have to use truck transport for it, which is way more emissions. Not that I'm particularly concerned about emissions, but way more emissions, way more cost, way more everything. It's just worse on every front to not have pipelines. Unless you're a foreign oil producer, then it's better because you make a lot of money that way. Oh, and I can't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure Biden just put a tariff on oil imports. So not only are we not producing our own oil, and there's that expense, it's also more expensive to buy oil from other places. And all during an economic was going to turn into depression that's crippling the economy. I mean, right now, of all times for him to have all these oil things going on, you have to wonder what the fuck his actual intention is, or the intention of the people who are managing him. Yeah, it's enough of that. What's cool? I'm cool. Oh, that Winston's mom has vacation there. That's aight. Winston's mom pretty cool. Winston's mom worked in the military for a long time. Winston's mom, if you're still here, do you know anything about, from personally firsthand experience, about weather manipulation? Brian's Journey. Is that a... I think I'm in that Discord group. Not that I'm ever on Discord. I uninstalled it. I didn't... There's a couple good channels. I like Transcendence. Bukoki's got one, but all in all, I don't like Discord groups. Most of them are full of... Discord people are douchey. Like, people on the internet are douchey as a whole, but certain pockets, I mean, certain platforms have different brands of douchiness, and the Discord brand of douchey was Virgin Gamer Nerd douchey. So I just didn't have fun. Weather manipulation. Yes. I know about cloud seeding. I know climate change was rebranded to global warming based on the Lewis Powell memo. Start there. I appreciate that. I have not heard of this memo. But what I'm going to do is take a picture of this comment so that when I'm looking through my phone later, I remember to do that. Oh, I just got smoke in my eye. That's the worst fucking feeling. So, in your opinion, do you think that climate change as presented has truth in it? Or do you think it's a complete... Because I think that, and I don't know, I don't know for sure, but, and I haven't looked into it that much, but the impression I get is that it's 99% misdirection and bullshit. And maybe there's a little bit of truth to it, but any impact that we're having is negligible compared to the things they're not talking about, like weather warfare or volcano eruptions or whatever. I mean, the whole cow fart thing from methane gas, that's complete junk science. I think you learn. I think you lean into the idea that people are smarter than they really are and are manipulating people more than they really are. That's absolutely a true observation. I do. Most people are following Plato's story. Yeah, I do that a lot. So I guess that is a true observation. I don't think that the people writing these articles saying it's weather manipulation are lying or know that they're lying. I do think though that the reason the public discussion is the way it is because of intentionally placed misinformation. Um, so you just have to sort of start the ball rolling and it catches momentum. It's not necessary to manipulate them when you can sell them Starbucks instead of books. Lovers of gain, not wisdom or honor. But it is necessary when you're trying to completely overhaul society in a way that's at best worse for everybody except for like the tiny number of elites, and at worst catastrophic and deadly for everybody, or for not for like everybody but 500 million or whatever that Georgia Guidestone number is. I mean, if you look at the plans, if you look at what they're saying themselves, there's bad shit scheduled. Now, for whatever reason, I'm just not particularly worried that they'll be successful in killing off billions of people. Maybe they will, but I call it normalcy bias. I just don't think it's happening. But for sure, discomfort has occurred and will continue to occur and get worse. So people are happy as long as they're comfortable. Starbucks is tasty and comfortable. I think that the changes that we're starting to encounter and will increasingly encounter over the next year are going to be uncomfortable changes. So it's important for them to make sure that people have the right thought in their head as to what is causing their discomfort. They'll give a teaspoon of truth to feed you their propaganda. That is true. All the best lies are also true. And I apprehends images from the ape a priori. Read Plato and you can see the patterns of human behavior. People want leaders to think for them and make them feel good. That's the fucking problem. You can't outsource living. That's the problem with politics, is it outsources you having to think or manage your life. That's the problem with um, with charity charities. First of all, most charities are basically any charity that's more than local is a complete sham, and you should not donate to them. But charities outsource moral and social concerns. I mean, we are the people. We're the people living in this world, and it's our life. So, sort of at a macro level, if you step back, the philosophical problem, I guess, if you will, is that people aren't living their own lives. They're not engaged in dealing with and managing the world that they live in. They want tasty. They want was it bread and circuses provided for them. It doesn't work out good. which is why everybody should be very concerned about the stimulus, the all the government handouts going on right now. There's easy government cheese being pushed around. That's a it's a big sign. I see what you did there. You play on words. But yeah, I will look into that memo you mentioned. I think I've basically made the points I wanted to make. Do a quick scroll back down through this Alaska article and see if there's anything significant in there. Basically, the news is not news, it's propaganda. It's what rich people want you to think. Every time I mention this, people know it, like, logically, like, oh, yeah, of course the news is fake, but they don't it's not internalized in people, I guess. It's not a reality in their life, even though it's kind of a knee-jerk, "Yes. Oh, yes, I know this to be true." It's not an ingrained truth. Mhm. Yeah, that's about, I think, all I'm going to hold on. Then later in the article, there's a section titled Trans-Alaska's Safety Record, 18 oil spills in 20 years," which is, of course, choosing to have that as a highlight implies that there's a lot of spills and bad safety. Maybe not that there are a lot, but people don't have a reference point for what a proper number of spills is. So just that headline alone is going to leave the average reader thinking that it's unsafe and a lot of spills. Um, but spills range from less than 1 barrel to 6,800 barrels. So we just don't have a reference point to know how much to know what's a big spill and what isn't. But less than 1 barrel is I'm surprised that that's counted as a spill, really. The another headline or another, section headline in this article is, "Future safety efforts must factor in climate change." Oh, shit. Yeah, that's it. I'm done with that article. The Powell memo goes back about 40 years. The memo shaped Republican policy and established the Heritage Foundation, which is guiding our Supreme Court choices. But does that have to do with climate with weather warfare or climate change? Guess we'll find out. Are you following the red tide issues in Florida? My old neighborhood on the water was flooded with dead fish and no way to remove them from the canals. Global warming will get ugly fast. I briefly heard about that. We had something similar here in Kansas City. Like, it wasn't that bad, but there was a bunch of dead fish in the river just kind of out of nowhere, and I don't remember what they said caused it, but it was something like it was like a one-off something. You know, it wasn't anything catastrophic or that would raise alarm. The cause wasn't alarm raising or particularly useful. It was just sort of like, man, this is caused by, you know, whatever. It was a neutralish answer that would just kind of move you past. I did last night read something about the shitload of birds dying in mostly the like Kentucky, Pennsylvania, you know, the Appalachian area mostly, but a bunch of birds are just dying, and they tend to have kind of crusty eyes, like their eyes are fucked up, and it's all younger birds. So now I'll look into the red tide issue. But when you say global warming will get ugly fast, you speak enigmatically, Winston's mom, and I want you to tie that thought very explicitly and concretely to what you're implying. Global warming will get ugly fast. Was it global warming? Do you think? And do you think that global warming is, because I'm not buying the carbon emission that you need to stop mowing your lawn because of global warming thing. I just don't buy it. It's at all. I think if we were serious about the environment, if our leaders were serious about the environment, they'd be telling people, hey, look, you know what we can do is we can take plastic and we can convert it into diesel fuel. So we can, I mean, hell, you solve a lot of problems all at once. You get your fossil fuels locally, cheaply. You get rid of the plastic waste. I mean, it's all the way around a perfect solution, but nobody ever talks about that option. Why the fuck wouldn't you talk about that option? I mean, it's not a hard process. I'm actually I'm not working on it yet, but I intend to make I don't know what it's called, a reactor or something. Anyways, I want to make like the still that you use to turn plastic into petroleum fossil fuel. Yeah. It's basically chemical plants dumping foam into the ocean, and warm climate change is growing the chemicals, creating a red algae that kills sea life around June usually. Gross. I am saying that because people do not want to accept global warming, they are not taking necessary measures to be prepared, whatever is causing the issue. That is true. I agree. I am. I'm prepping. I hope that you are too. Buy some food. I just bought another, what is it, 15? How big is this fucking bag? 20 pounds of Los Pintos. About 20 more pounds of Los Pinto beans. The big picture view is that people are leaning into ignoring the future of a climate where the temperature the spring temperatures reach over 100 degrees. They're not ready to give up automobiles that drive on fossil fuels. The old money, oil money, is not worried about your future. There's almost over. The old money, oil money, isn't worried about the. Yeah, they're not worried about your future. I don't know how to make this thought coherent even in my own brain right now, so I'll just get past what I was going to say. And I don't. The fossil fuel money. The people who have the money aren't going to stop having the money because they got phased out through natural competition or organic change. They're going to be involved in the change, and they're still going to have the same money that they've had. It's just going to be a little different business model they're running on. That's a reasonable approach. Right on. It's been hacked. Our communications infrastructure has been, I mean, since day one, I think. It's not been private. You can look at WikiLeaks and see how long they've been hacking into shit. The CIA got caught hacking into Obama's phone. It's not just what's his fucking face? It's not just Trump that's been spied on. Obama got spied on. And I think the nature of the internet and of technology is such that I'm pretty sure we can say for sure that our communications have not been private since the internet. I mean, every phone on the market is made where? In China. You don't think that there's some little way that they're recording and just dumping everything on people's phones into a big storage facility in case they need it later? I'm sure. I have no doubt. I don't have it right now because I put it on the case because I need to take a picture of something, but I've said this 1,000 times. I keep electrical tape over my cameras on my phones, and well, Katie's not great at it, but my daughter, I've given her this lecture, and enough times it's like, Dad, shut up. But she has camera or tape over her cameras when she's not using them. I got a piece of tape up by this camera, so I don't think anybody's watching me or us because we're just not that important. But I do think somebody's recording us. Well, the NSA for sure is. But I just don't want. You know what? I know that what I say will be recorded, but they don't need to watch me do whatever. They don't need to watch me while I'm taking a shit and scrolling through Facebook, which is where I do all my best Facebooking. I don't know what you mean by that. That is, I am worried that a house divided cannot stand, and in less than 2 decades we have seen about 17 democracies fail. I worry about the charismatic leader. All right. I am going to say that is probably 100,000% right thing to worry about, and that and that my time or efforts would be better spent trying to unify a house rather than trying to awaken a house, which ends up creating more division. But you know what? And yeah, charismatic leaders. Oh, there's more. Who will emerge in 15 years or so and be way smarter and more effective than Trump? Yes, yes. All very good. There's a big event coming, not another 9/11, but we are due for potential mashup and civil terrorist attack activity, a big one. I agree. I also think that that's coming for sure. I'm not sure, but I think it will be false flags. I mean, I guess that's neither here nor there. It's just opinion, but I think it will be a false flag one because I think that most shit is false. I think all mass shootings essentially are false flag or Operation Monarch victims. My nigga, that's because you my dog. I think that World War III is happening right now, and it's weather warfare and information. And who knows? It's too early to tell yet, but I still think that there's definitely the. Well, we'll still have to wait to see how the Fauci ouchie plays out because it hasn't been long at all. And there are a lot of toxins that take time to break down. Like chloroform takes a long time to break down and accumulate in your system in a way that is fatal or particularly toxic. Like chloroform is, and I'm going to explain this wrong, but it takes a long time to metabolize or some shit. It's got a long half-life, but then when it's in you, it builds. So as it breaks down and enters your bloodstream, I think the point of it being toxic from the point of it being ingested are pretty far apart. I'm trying to remember if I explained that right. But anyways, the chloroform has such a long half-life that it'd be a perfect like second dose, 2 doses. It'd be a great toxin to structure that way. So you've got delays. Yeah, you get what I'm trying to say, that I'm not saying it. That is my speculation purely. Who knows? I know I'm getting a little fanciful here. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. Computer programs are programmed to flag and tag certain words. If you're reaching out to foreign actors, then you could be swept up in a net. If you are talking kitty, you know what you could be. I am doing neither of those. Are you familiar with Star Trek's Prime Directive? The butterfly. Not the Prime Directive. I never really got into Star Trek. I like Star Wars, but I was never a Star Trek person. The butterfly effect. Yes, I am with the butterfly effect. Yes, that is true. Socrates. Let's see. Socrates never wrote anything down, but Plato listened and spread the word. Psychologists are now studying whether or not these mass shootings are really serial killers evolving. Once upon a time, Ted Bundy rode around in a Volkswagen and killed one girl at a time. Now they have Uzis. The mass shootings are the problem that will help remove the Second Amendment. It's as simple as that. If you look at when and where if you start really looking at these things and digging into them, they're not coincidence. There's no fucking way. Adam Lanza has to be the fakest shit. You can look at the crisis actors. You can look at how they treated the school, how nobody was allowed in, and they immediately bulldozed it afterwards. That's fucking suspicious. No crime scene investigation, nothing, no. You look at, let's see, there's one photo of Adam Lanza ever. No real understanding of who he is. One photo where he looks like David Hogue. That dude. And just the explanation doesn't work that a little wimpy autistic 17-year-old was able to do that much damage with a few guns. Like, that's absolutely insane. If you never shot an AR, shooting an AR in a school hallway, that first shot with that echo profile would knock you on your fucking ass. Would knock me on my ass. And I'm not a scrawny 17-year-old autistic kid. There's just no way he would be able to handle the noise barrage enough to get more than a magazine off at best. I don't buy it at all. Yes, thank you. And do subscribe if you're not subscribed, you 4 people. I'm getting close to 1,000. And if you didn't hear me earlier, tomorrow I'm on I can't remember. Oh, there it is. She's going to say it next. Tomorrow night over on Genxennial's channel. I'm joining him for a live stream. And did you know that there is a psychology to what you are saying? The idea is some events are too big for most people to wrap their minds around the inhumanity, so they look into conspiracy. No, I'm sure, but there's also a lot of psychology is bullshit. And also, psychology as a tool is a fantastic way to distort and discredit reality. And psychology has been used as a tool that way throughout history, all over the place. I would venture to say psychology has been used more as a weapon in that way than it has as a legitimate medical approach. If you look at the communist countries, it's all over there. And it has been. But I do get that. And I'm very confident that's not what I'm doing, because the conspiracies I come up with are worse. It's worse to think that a government is training people to systematically eradicate kids or people than it is to think that one crazy guy got crazy. And also, that's just not the sort of delusions. I'm pretty tolerant of awful things. I don't get easily overwhelmed by them. But yeah, I think that my theories are much more awful than the official narrative. Well, yeah, and I don't believe one small man did either. These simple lone actors, how many times are there going to be? How many times can we blame everything on a one-off or a crazy person or this thing or that thing? And until before realizing, like, What the fuck else would they say? What else would you expect to hear? Oh, it was just a one-off crazy person. When we know throughout history there have been tons, like the shit that got us into Vietnam was a false flag. What was that? Gulf of something. We're in Vietnam because of a false flag. We were in World War II because of something that we knew would happen beforehand. We let it happen. It wasn't. That was Pearl Harbor was well known about. And even more than that, we had repelled like a U-boat, some sort of Navy attack. They'd come and bumped into us with their Navy ships earlier that day, so we had to, and they'd failed. But because we knew the airplane attack was coming, we kind of had to keep that on the down low long enough for them to fly planes over. I'm sorry if I'm explaining this poorly. I feel unarticulate right now, but it's late. But yeah, I mean, just history is, even our history, our whitewashed history is just riddled with examples of false flags, of governments or institutions, of institutional abuses. And then, of course, there's always the scapegoat. No, he did it. So, could one small man have killed JFK? Yes. Is it the most likely explanation? No. I think that a more relevant psychological phenomenon than the one you're describing, where we invent conspiracies because we don't want to believe reality, is that we accept the lies because we don't want to believe reality. It takes two to tango. I don't remember where it came from, but there's like a rule in for con men that was or a saying or something, that it takes two people to pull off a con. The con man and the victim. The victim has to actively participate in it. They have to want something to be true. Similarly, we have to want this to be a lone gunman, because if it's not a lone gunman, it's a big fucking problem. And it doesn't mean that we just lost the president. It means that our whole structure is dirty to the core. I am tired and sleepy, and with that, yes. Good night.